Well, hello, my friends, and welcome to part 3 of my fun and spooky Halloween DIYs. Today I am making a zombie hand emerging out from a box. And this project is pretty simple and a lot of fun. Well, it is Create Day, my friends, so let's get started. For this project, I'm using this mannequin hand. This was from my time spent in beauty college, but you can still find these on Amazon or at least something similar. I'm also going to be using this little wooden box that I picked up at the thrift store. I just need to remove the sticker and get it cleaned up. The first thing I'm going to do is attach some nails to my hand. I have these plastic tips that are meant to go onto an existing fingernail to extend it. I'm going to use them upside down, trimming what would be the top part in order to shape it and curve it to fit down into that cuticle area. I'm doing it this way because I wanted the solid piece to be on the nail. I'm going to be cutting this down to length, and that portion that would normally fit onto the human nail is thinner at the base, and I didn't want there to be two different heights. I cut the tips of these in little jagged edges, and here's how they turned out. Now I'm going to put them on with some super glue. With those in place, I took it outside and gave it a coat of my flat black spray paint. Here it is all painted up, but this hand is made of silicone, and that spray paint did not properly cure on there. It was kind of sticky, even though I'd left it to dry for a very long time. But we're going to cover that up anyway, so it doesn't really matter for this project. I'm using my cotton balls. I just unroll them, apply a coat of Mod Podge, and then lay the cotton down into the Mod Podge. And then I can brush over that with some more Mod Podge and seal that in. This will give the hand some nice ghoulish texture so it doesn't look like a nice smooth hand. I keep repeating these steps until the entire hand is covered. When that's all dry, I'm going to give this a coat of my black acrylic paint. For the box, I just used some medium grit sandpaper to kind of get things smoothed out a little bit and cleaned up. And then I gave it a coat of my flat black spray paint. When that was dry, I did a coat of Fusion's cast iron. Now for the texture on the box, I'm using this stencil that I think I got from Temu and my modeling paste to do a raised stencil around the entire box. I'm using a little palette knife to just smooth this modeling paste onto that stencil. I'm using this top section for this side of the box. On the exact opposite side, I'll use the bottom portion, and then I use a different stencil to do the sides. Be sure to check out my description box. There will be a list of everything I used in today's project, along with links to the items that I can leave links for. Now I'm going to pull that stencil off and look at how absolutely gorgeous that is. To fill in those little side pieces there that the stencil didn't cover, I'm just taking the modeling paste onto my palette knife and spreading it onto that little section on either side. And this is the stencil I'm using for the other two sides. I believe I got this one from Amazon. The way I decided to position this was so that that open spray design is coming towards the front of the box, what I consider to be the front. So when I'm done with this side and I do the other side, I will turn the stencil around so that it goes the same direction as this one. So once that paste was dry, it's time to give this a coat of paint. I'm using the same Fusion cast iron. I did one full coat and then I went back in and did a touch-up coat. That sometimes you get those areas in the little crevices that don't completely fill in the first time. So it was just kind of a touch-up. Now back to the hand, I'm using the color Barnwood as my first color onto my creepy hand. This is a nice kind of ashen color. I thought that would make a good base color to add all the creepiness onto. I'm not going for full coverage here. I do want some of that black to still show through. Now I'm taking some burnt sienna and watering it down a little bit so I can do kind of like a glaze over this. I'm going to brush quite a bit of this on and then grab a baby wipe and kind of tap it back a little bit. Next, I'm using the color called Forest Moss. This will give us a little bit of an infected flavor. I'm doing the same process, watered down, brushing on, wiping back with the baby wipe. Next up is a dark brown called Espresso. This one I don't wipe back, I just water it down and brush that on there. It just kind of gives a nice overall coating to tie all those colors together. Now I'm going to use that Barnwood color again to do some dry brushing, offloading most of my paint onto my paper towel, and then just kind of highlighting all the little raised areas all over the hand. So now I want to make those fingernails a little bit different than the rest of the hand so they stand out a little more. I'm using deep gray to go over the fingernails, not completely covering everything that's on there, but just a little bit of moderate coverage. And then I'm going to go in with my Fright Props Blood. I'm not going to overdo it. I don't want this to be gory. I just wanted to add a little something here to make it look like, you tore a fingernail here and there and had a little bit of bleeding. So I just put it on a couple of the nails around the cuticle area and then underneath on the bottom side. If you like these types of projects for Halloween, I encourage you to watch my playlist that I have for Halloween. That will be linked at the end of this video in case you want to go check that out. Just shows things I've made in the past for Halloween decor and for my home haunt that I usually do. I've made a lot of things over the years that I don't even have here on YouTube, but the ones that I have from the last couple of years are in that playlist. Be sure to check it out. Now back to our box, I'm taking gray and just doing some dry brushing over the entire box. This will highlight all those gorgeous details really well, and then we can add some rub and buff on top of that to bring out some of the more aged look onto the stencils. I'm using Spanish copper rub and buff and a stiff brush to go over all the raised areas. As a finishing touch to the hand, I'm adding this old ring that I found. Just going to secure that down on the palm side with some hot glue. Now to attach the hand inside the box, I'm using this piece of insulation foam. This little piece fits down nicely inside of that, so I'm going to use my Surebonder hot glue, get it attached to that insulation foam, and then attach that piece into the center bottom of the box. To fill in around the hand and give it some more support, I'm just cutting up pieces of styrofoam and hot gluing them into place, just cutting them until they fit in there, and I get a nice snug fit so I know my hand isn't going anywhere. I'm going to fill in the top of that with some Spanish moss, adding my hot glue and nice big clumps of the Spanish moss. Now for some color variation, I'm adding in some of the green moss, and there was also a couple little twigs that were mixed in with that. I add those as well. And as a finishing touch, I did add one single black rose. I don't know if I really like it or not, so I didn't glue it into place. Before we take a look at the finished product, I want to say thank you so much for watching today. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you find my content useful, will like and subscribe to my channel, but more importantly, I hope I've inspired you to go create something. See you next time.